Wow, thank you, Benita. That's really kind. So bear with me for just a sec while I get warmed up. I'm a little bit nervous. So I'll just tell you kind of what our game plan is for the evening. I'm just gonna sort of finish up introducing myself, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about our collections and our work here at Hopewell Valley Historical Society. And then I'm not the main event. We all know that the main event here tonight is this collection, these pictures from Titusville Elementary. Before we go on, how many people here were students at Titusville Elementary? Amazing. This is going to be really fun, I hope. So moving on. Again, my name is Katie Chase, and I'm a professional archivist, which means that I have a master's degree in library and information science with a concentration in archives management from Simmons College in Boston. And how many people here know exactly what an archivist is? Okay. How many, Holly, how many people here sort of know what an archivist is? Okay, okay. So it's really simple. An archivist is a person who works in an archives. To get a little bit more detailed than that, an archivist is someone who arranges and describes archival material and works of enduring value. So what I do as an archivist is I arrange archival collections, which means that I do my best to preserve the original order that materials were in when they were collected by the creator of the collection. Often, unfortunately, things come to us a little bit messed up, a little bit not necessarily sure what the original order was. So we will impose an order, as they say, to a collection for the ease of researchers. And then the next thing I do is describe that collection for researchers. And I primarily do that by creating finding aids, which is just sort of a silly expression for a guide to the collection. And if you go on our website, you can find some of our finding aids there in our archive section. So, of course, the degree is really only part of what you need to be an archivist. You also need a really deep love for history, and you also need a really deep willingness to get into the nitty-gritty of history. Contrary to popular opinion, or popular belief, this is a very physical job. It's a very dirty job. There's a high risk of paper cuts. In the wintertime, it's bad. So the thing is, though, that this job is worth every dust plume, every whiff of mold that you sometimes get, because what this job is uncovering the evidence of human life and human lives. And every time I come to work, I get to time travel and peek into the lives of people who are, for the most part, no longer with us, possibly for quite a long time. So that brings us to Hopewell Valley Historical Society, where I've been working for a little over 3 years as a consulting archivist. It is true that when Benita and I first met, I was a youth services librarian here at the MCL Hopewell branch. I'm so lucky to have had that job and worked in youth services, especially since that had not been my concentration in library school. And I think I was sort of a little bit of a dilettante in that position, but it was a great joy to do. But every time I walked past that archives office, I sort of thought, and I just missed the work that I'd been doing in archives so much. And one day I was walking by and Benita cornered me. Everybody knows what that's like, right? To get cornered by Benita. And but she said, I hear you're an archivist. And I said, yes, I am. And the rest is history. I couldn't be more thrilled to be here. And Benita shared some of the history of the organization with you. Um, and I will paraphrase the mission, even though Benita has already done a great job, to share the vibrant history of the Hopewell region, to provide community engagement, and to provide enriching and inspiring experiences. And in its 50 years, the Historical Society has done that by presenting programs like this one, by presenting programs for adults and children, doing extensive research on properties all around the township, and by doing almost 250 oral history interviews, which is really amazing. Okay, so, okay, yes, no problem. Um, so, in addition to that, we do our archival work with our collections. We now have over 250 manuscript collections, all of which are housed here in this building in our tiny little archives office. I think if we put one more box in there, it's going to sort of turn into a black hole, you know, with its density. But we're still, that doesn't mean we're not interested. Still come to us. We always find a way. So, I'm just going to grab a sip here. So, this is how I think about our archival collections. I heard recently on WHYY, I think somebody must have been an underwriter, that the Atwater Kent collection at Drexel is known as Philadelphia's attic. And I really loved that expression. And now I like to think about our collections as Hopewell's attic. Now, some people have gently objected to that. They think that something more lofty might be appropriate, like Hopewell's vault, right, was a suggestion. But this is the reason that I like attic. You know, every time you go up into your attic, you find something that you hadn't expected. And sometimes it's a little bit mundane, but sometimes it's something really, really special. And it could be about you, even, or people really close to you. And so, to get a little bit poetic, I think that if we think about Hopewell as a family, or physically as a giant house, this collection is Hopewell's attic. And even those of us who work with these collections go in there sometimes and find things that we didn't know about. We learn things about the community. We, find things about ourselves sometimes that we didn't know before. And so even though you should never keep archival collections in an actual attic or basement, poetically, that's how I like to think about the collection. So before we go further, there are just two things I want to note. First, I want to talk about one of the most valuable resources that we have in the archives and in the organization as a whole, and that is our volunteers. Every Friday, a portion of the volunteers for the Historical Society come here to the library and work on the oral history project or the archives. They conduct oral history interviews, they index those interviews, they scan some of our photo collections, index collections, and do original research. And our volunteers go from high school students to college undergrads, college graduate students to adults from all walks of life. And the only requirement for that is that you be interested in the work and willing to do sometimes thankless tasks. For instance, I don't think any of our high school volunteers knows this yet, but something that one of them is going to be doing very soon is writing down every single name on the formal class photos from the Case collection. So not these really neat photos, which we don't have identifications for, which is where we need your help, but the formal class photos annually. And thankfully, they do have names on the back, but we need those in a spreadsheet. And that's going to be pretty thankless work. But it's not useless work, and it's not meaningless work, because when that is done and when we share that, people doing research will be able to search by name and find the people in those photos. So that's just one example of the important work that our volunteers do. And I just wanted to recognize some of our volunteers who are here tonight. My apologies. If you want to wave, you can or not. Our archives volunteers are Kathy Brown, Holly Wise, Sherry Cronin, Benji Orr, Bob Worsnack, Cynthia O'Connor, and Carol Smith. And Catherine Sherdak has left us recently, but she remains in the form of her great posters that she made for this collection and posters that are outside the archives office. And Suzanne Dutko-Stout is a donor who is a member of the Walking Wounded, but she's here tonight. I can't believe it. Who donated an amazing collection, which hopefully you guys will be hearing much more about in coming months. And she sort of fell in love with the work, and now she's with us almost every week. It couldn't be better. And of course, we do all of this under the leadership of Benita Grant, the head of the Archives Committee. So if anybody here is interested in volunteering, you can go on our website and click on volunteer, or you can talk to anybody here tonight. Finally, this is the 50th birthday of the Hopewell Valley Historical Society. And I wish I was going to have a copy that I showed to you guys, but I don't have it. There's this beautiful, beautiful book that that has been produced for, we're getting a copy, I think. A really gorgeous book full of images and photos and just amazing bits of history of Hopewell. And so you can, I believe, order one on our website. You can also see anybody here to put in an order. And also on May 31st, there is a book release party at the golf course, I do believe. You can definitely register for that on the website, and you can get a copy, a signed copy, when you come to the party. So put it on your calendar and get registered. So now that all of that has been said, on to the real main event, which is the Helen Case collection. Once more, can I just see all of our alums here? Wow, okay. So somebody, I think it might have been you, Kim, said that this school was magical, which I thought was really special. A lot of people feel like their elementary school years were magical, but I can tell you from personal experience that many of us do not call our elementary school years magical. And I think some of that really comes through in the photographs that we see around us. So I'm really happy to be able to be sharing these photos with you guys. And hopefully tonight will be a little bit like going into your attic and finding something special. So we call this the Helen Case collection because archival collections are known by their creator of the collection. That means the person who collected all of the things, gathered them together, not necessarily who created each thing in it. And Helen Case created this collection because when the school closed in 1982, which I know was very sad for a lot of families, the building was being vacated And there were a lot of materials that were, in a dumpster or in a trash pile. A lot of our collections have gone from a dumpster into our collections. And she saw them and recognized that they were of enduring value. And so she took them and put them away, possibly in her attic. That was the spring of 1982. Very sadly, she died that following December. And it was sudden. She was too young, and I know that she's still remembered for the role that she had in the community, for her solos in the church choir, I hear. And we remember her because she saved these materials. And they were kept by her family until 2023, when her daughter, Sue Ellen Tatry, donated the collection. And because we have a significant backlog of things to be processed, it wasn't until last year that we decided to scan the slides in the collection. So let me just show you. This box contains 444 slides. They're in little boxes, like little boxes in the box. Archives is also a great field for anybody who loves boxes and neat storage. So people had seen the slides. They'd been organized because they had some categories on them, but nobody had been able to do more than just sort of, look at them. And I had the privilege of scanning these. And this is why we do the job, to take these little colored boxes and put them in a scanner and, see these images come to light. It's definitely magic. And it was a really hard job and a team effort to go from 444 down to about 200 that are like really highly usable, down to a short list of 100, down to the 24 that are here. But something very exciting for the archives is that soon we will be using Flickr, which is a photo sharing site, to put several of our photo collections online. And so soon you will be able to see at least 200 of these photos online. And that will be linked from our website. So briefly, the origin of these photos, we believe, is that in the 1950s, the principal of the school was a guy named William B. Schaefer. And he seems like definitely a character, like one of those people who's always coming up with a new idea, a new scheme. From newspaper records, he developed a pilot program in the district to do audio recordings of lessons that students used. He, did a lot of community engagement, like doing, parent-teacher basketball games. He ran a 20 questions night, sort of the trivia night of the 1950s, I think. And so also in newspaper records, I found the following about the final PTA meeting of the year in 1953. It says, color movies and slides showing highlights of the school year's activities will be shown by Schaefer. He describes the pictures as, quote, an attempt to show parents what children do aside from their basic work, a way for the parent to get inside the classroom and see the child as he is in school. Included are classroom scenes as well as outdoor events. Schaefer plans to continue his pictorial history of the Titusville School. So it seems to me that certainly the 1953 photos that are in here are part of that project. The photos, the earliest ones are from 1952, and the latest of the 50s ones are 1958, after Schaefer had left the school. So clearly, there's a little bit of bleed here, but it seems as if the seed of the project was this idea of Schaefer's. The photos from the 1970s that we have are much more vague in origin. I couldn't find anything about why they might have been taken. But what I think is interesting is that when we got them, they were put together, the 50s and the 70s. And when you look at the 50s and the 70s together, they almost sort of look as if they're speaking to each other in dialogue. And what strikes me is the similarity, like the clothes, very, very different. Some of the sensibilities you can tell are definitely different, but, so much about them is, just extremely similar. So moving on from that, the really good stuff, we're going to look at some of these photos. The first group I'm going to show you is a group of the 1950s photos that's sort of special. And the second group is as many of the 1970s photos as I can fit in, because I know that a lot of people here were here in the 1970s. But again, all of these photos will be on Flickr soon. So let's get the lights, and I'm going to share my screen for those of us on Zoom. Okay. So, could we get the lights? Carol or Benita, there's lights back there. And okay, hopefully that'll work. Okay. So, oh wait, first I'm gonna sort of do that. I'm gonna tell you guys about these photos from the 50s. So, safety was a big issue in the 1950s, it seems. This might have been like a post-war, Cold War kind of thing, but there were state troopers who came into schools. There were student safety officers. And there were also frequent presentations in schools about safety, some of them done by kids themselves. And so I found this group of photos that are all of kids doing unsafe things. And so I think that they were taken to be part of a presentation, but they're pretty funny. So I'm going to show as many of those as I can. And maybe you guys want to tell us what the unsafe thing is. So, mm. So this isn't a great photo, but you can see where it is, right? Like the river's right there. So it looks like this is riding a bike very slowly right in front of a car. Next. What's funny about some of these is that some of them are extremely dangerous and some of them are only minorly dangerous. Although I probably just like you, I heard horror stories about kids doing this and, what happened to their skulls and things. So don't lean back in your chair. Next. This one I find kind of confusing. I guess throwing an eraser is bad, but the gerbils behind the subject add sort of a strange note to me. Moving on.
Usually it's cleaning the eraser.
Yeah, well, I know. So it looks, I feel that it may just be a candid shot of somebody about to clean the chalkboard, or it's right in amongst the other safety photos. And I think she may be about to throw the eraser. I'm not really sure. This one? Yes. I believe this was a plot point on the Brady Bunch. But yes, do not put tacks on your teacher's chair.
students.
Or yes, it doesn't look like a teacher chair. That's true. It's a student chair. Yes, this is quite violent. Extremely violent. As I said, some of them are we don't. So again, anybody uh-oh. We will take notes on that for sure. Moving on. This is one of our favorite images. So yes, don't ride a bike on your knees. Next. I think this happened to me once. Don't walk in front of the swings, for the love of God. It's hard to tell this one first. Takes a second. But don't trip your friends or enemies. This one. No shooting rubber bands. And you know, this goes for adults as well as children. I know some people here may have done this at work once. I don't know. Yes, no rubber bands. By the way, these photos are full of children in plaid shirts. Were plaid shirts just a cute? Yeah. Moving on. Yeah. I I have had to do something like that once or twice. This is this is my favorite one, and it's also the last of our safety photos. Yes, do not, for goodness sake, stand on books. And I also the little girl on the left seems to be very indifferent to what's going on. So next, moving on to the 1970s photos. So you can see there's amazing. So these, I mean, the outfits in these are just, yes, the army jacket, very cool, very cool. Oh, wow. So we'll definitely have to get some notes on these for sure. Next, we've got.
Karen was surgery.
So it's can't really see many faces here, but it looks like some sort of a project on the floor. And here. Does anybody know the teacher maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, his mutton chops are pretty impressive. Moving on. So this photo, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's this really interesting poster in the back about astronauts. So yeah. I bet you will find somebody who knows who this teacher is. So this, I'm really hoping for help. Yes, well, so you can almost read her name there, and I just could not fully make it out. C. How do you spell? S-E-E. Thank you.
Didn't try to spell.
Yeah, so I think that's just such a classic school secretary
Yes.
photo. Yeah. Oh, and I love the sign for the spring fling. Does anybody know what HVEA is?
What?
HVEA, Education Association. Thank you. That makes sense. They were sponsoring it. So moving on. Any guesses? Do you know what classroom this might have been?
Yeah, that would be, no, that's not hard. He was in my class.
So moving on.
That's
Ah,
Michelle Tomlinson, in the back, sitting in the back of the table.
oh,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think I noticed that girl with her tongue out until this instant. I can't believe it. I was focusing on the books.
Names that you hear, because I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yes. So who? Yeah. Could you repeat who is in the back of the photo?
Michelle Tomlinson is sitting at the table.
Michelle
the back of the
Tomlinson
table, near
is
the
sitting
red city.
in the red top. Thank you. So I think this is so much fun. So that slide, which I don't think you'd ever see in a school today, also shows up in the 1950s photos. I think most of this equipment had not changed. Yeah. Oh, huh.
Because everybody don't
So this is such a great portrait, and there are very few photos like this in the whole collection that are just portraits of one child. Huh. Okay. Interesting. So here's a classroom shot. It looks like, what grade did the school go to? In sixth? Okay.
We went to six. Yeah.
I went to six. My oldest brother went to eighth.
Okay.
Eighth grade.
Bill went to fifth.
Yeah.
My father went to eighth, right? Yeah. Eighth.
Yeah. It's so sad. You can see over the years in the newspapers that it was eighth grade, seventh grade, sixth grade, fifth grade, and by the last year, it was a single kindergarten or first grade class.
Yeah. Because of the regionalization.
Yeah.
Yep.
of the
Yep.
school system.
Yeah.
Timberlane came on in 71, 1970, 71.
Oh, that probably,
In the late fifties, not only was the school being utilized, they were using the basement of the church, the boiler room, one of the huts at the airport. So the Titusville School students were all over,
Spread everywhere.
up to the township and the county until Bear Tavern was built.
They were still using the little red schoolhouse in Harborton when I was at Titusville School. I
wow.
got more classmates in third grade that came from the Harborton schoolhouse.
Wow. That's amazing. So I love this picture. Oh, that's the same astronaut picture. I'm learning things right now. So that's clearly the same room and the same table. It does look, it's sort of like a teacher conference room or something.
Boy in the back, boy in the plaid shirt, right, South Alberta, if anybody knows South Alberta.
Fred Alberta, yes.
Alberta.
So I love this photo. Does anybody recognize the woman, the nurse, I'm guessing? It's funny, I was just thinking that her shoes remind me of my grandmother's shoes, and my grandmother was a nurse. So that's true. That's true. But isn't this so sweet? She's just sort of bandaging her finger or something like that. So this is the official last photo that I have. Oh, amazing.
Yeah, we had Easter eggs. Yeah.
Yeah, there are lots of photos that are clearly early spring. So we can turn it over to questions now, or if we want, I have a couple more 50s photos. So let me, Bob, I'm sorry, do you mind advancing? There are actually a few more after this one, secret ones. So yes.
Feel the tension.
Yes, I'd like to introduce you to the coolest boys at Titusville Elementary in this year.
Yeah.
Say what, make a model that's not.
Oh, yeah, Charlie Hunt was giving us those identifications. Too bad he's not here tonight.
Charlie Thomas, this man.
Oh, good. I'm sure he's yelling. Oh, who are these
Well,
folks?
on the left is Marie C.
No way.
Yeah.
Amazing. Marie C, S-E-E on the right? I'm so sorry. Did you say right or left? On the left in the white. Okay. I had envisioned this as a PTA event, but perhaps not.
Oh, it probably was.
It probably was. Oh, and she was a parent as well. So what I love about this photo is that this is clearly in the school building, but it's been sort of,
Maybe it's a teacher lounge.
yeah, it's been homified with this hutch in the background. So moving on. I was very sad that this photo did not end up in the exhibit. This is one of our few 1952 photos. Was she a nurse?
It's like the eye test.
Yes, it is. It is an eye test. It is an eye test. Yes.
Yeah.
And now this is our real last photo. Another one that we were very sad to have to remove. Halloween. We've got a lot of very neat Halloween photos.
I think that's 50s.
I do believe that it is. But look, I'm pretty sure that it's 50s because you see the pram in the back, first of all. That looks very 50s. Also yes, the Blondie costume. I've this moment seen that it's Blondie. That has to be. I don't think anybody was Blondie in the 70s. I'm quite sure actually that this is 50s. I could always be wrong, but and my guess for the costume of the boy in the front, my guess is Zorro. Does that make sense to anybody? I feel like I've seen some Zorros in the 1950s Halloween shots, but can't be sure. Yeah, I think that the pram, the saddle shoes, Blondie, I'm and it's also in the midst of other photos that were clearly taken on the same day that are much more obviously photos. But I agree that it has a very the tone of the photo is much more modern.
That hat looks older.
Oh, the little tiny girl in this sort of bonnet. Yes, I agree. Isn't it so much fun to just sort of read these photos and interpret them? You know, you could really spend quite a long time studying some of these. But that is the last one that we have for tonight. So I think, and we're right on schedule. So let's turn the lights back up. And does anyone have any questions, or does anyone have any stories or things that they want to share about Titusville Elementary?
Well, we had square dance colors, we had a lot of square dances there.
I have some square dance photos, just a couple.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got some, none of them are like excellent photos, but we do have them. You'll be able to see them online.
Yeah, the kitchen people, they used to serve us.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Go ahead.
Katie,
Yes.
these photos that are on the wall, what are that?
So they are the very, very cream and representation of this box of slides. So
They selected to be on the wall.
So of the 444, I narrowed that down myself to about 200 that I thought were, many of them are either entirely black or entirely white. They're just not even legible. Some of them are very blurry. Some of them are repeats, so I narrowed it down to 200 that I thought were really usable. And we started looking and picking, and people got to vote on which ones. But then, I realized I myself just took it down to 100. And then we started really doing the hard work. And one day we just had them all laid out and we had to make the hard choices. Thank you. When I say we, I mean the Archives and Collections Committee. And it wasn't all of us. I think it was primarily Benita and Catherine and I who were there that day and really got to make those choices. But I had a binder of these that people were able to kind of vote on. So, yeah.
Do you have the slide that you used on Facebook with the fire engine with the kids lined up?
That
It's
It-
in a concert, you know?
it is on the wall somewhere. And also, I will tell you that that fire engine photo is one of many. This is like one of these choices. There were formal photos of kids lined up in front of the fire trucks, but this was a photo that was clearly taken right after the kids were dismissed. And so they're all sort of scattering.
Don't take a fire truck from the school for fire.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And we had safety patrols.
Oh, Jules. Thank you, Julianne. So yes, it's here. You can come and take a look at it more closely.
It's funny, you had a whole lot of kids because everybody that saw it knew 3 or 4 people that were lined up.
Oh, okay.
It's on the
Also-
poster.
This is the photo that's on the poster out front.
There's one.
Well, so the poster that we used, we cut it off
Yeah.
so that it's sort of like a portrait like this. And this portion of the photo is not in there. Mhm.
Would you like a fire safety story?
Absolutely. Is there a fire in it?
It's a real fire.
Oh, thank you. Okay, perfect.
My oldest brother was 3 years older than I am. Probably 1954, 1975, the fire company came to Titusville School to instruct them in fire safety. And it seemed that my brother Lee and his friend Francis Furnison were so excited about it that after school they went home and they went behind the Agnew's barn there, which is near the Presbyterian church, and they set the pile of leaves on fire and practically burned the barn down. That's fire safety.
Well, one of the newspaper stories that I found from this era about the elementary school is that principal of the era, William B. Schaefer, got in a little bit of hot water because he was burning trash on the campus. But he wasn't in trouble because he burned trash on campus. This was what they did. It was a weekly or monthly thing that they did, burning the trash. He was in trouble because he did it on a Monday. But does anybody know why? Yep. A neighbor got very upset and when I first read it, I thought, oh my goodness, her laundry caught fire on the line. But no, I think it smelled like smoke. So, and this made the newspaper. And, he was told, and no, do not burn trash on Mondays again. Go ahead.
There was another tradition, I church or school, and that was for Memorial Day, the last day of school before, Memorial Day. In the afternoon, all the students would get a cut flower, and they would parade down River Drive to the cemetery at Presbyterian Church and put flowers on the graves, and I believe they also marched up to the Methodist Church.
We did that, we did that, we did that.
Yeah. I wish we had photos of that, but I don't,
In the sixties.
I'm not sure that we do.
Yeah. Or you picked them in Titusville.
Sure, yeah.
If you lived in the village, you could go home for lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
And they expected you to come back.
And if you were sick, you had to go to Dr. Heiner's up the street, or Dr. Hess, and get a notice to come back.
Yes. So we have a photo of Dr. Heiner right here. And it's not a very pretty or attractive photo, but we have it in there because I'm quite sure that he's administering the polio vaccine.
And we would walk down to Dr. Hess for shots and.
Right.
Physical.
Well, the polio we got in Sugar Cube.
So this is, I've heard different things about the sugar cubes. I've heard that it was in a sugar cube, but I've also heard that that kids were given a sugar cube to eat to distract them from the injection.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of our classmates.
Yeah, no joke.
Exact remember from the early sixties, one time a hurricane was coming across and we were all sent home, and it hit, that's when Bear Chapel was being hit. Bear Chapel. Right, and then the other thing I remember is being sent home from school early the day that President Kennedy was shot. Yeah, we were sent home.
Yep. My mother was a teacher on that day. It was, yeah. Go ahead.
Another wonderful thing is Titusville School, if you were in the upper grades. So when I was in sixth grade, we had a cooking staff there, you had hot lunches. And they wanted 2 students from the classroom to help set up the tables and clean off the tables and bring the silverware and plates back in to be cleaned.
Which were real things, not paper.
And the beauty of it is that you got a free meal.
Oh, if you were one of the
If you
kids.
had a bunch of volunteers, and they always gave you extra.
Wow.
Wonderful thing, I never passed it up. If I could be chosen, and one other thing, we used to have milk breaks. And there was also a student who was assigned to bring the milk up to the class.
In the crate.
On the distributed.
Yeah.
3 cents a carton.
And the teachers would select people to go out and do the erasers.
Oh, yes. Definitely. That's why that picture of the girl with the eraser seemed weird, because I think in the back of my mind, I was thinking, shouldn't she have 2?
Yeah.
You could be smacking it against the wall.
That's true. Very true.
You had to go up the stairs.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, we used to be able to get up on the roof of the school, but that, I should tell that.
But they did.
You see, we used to have set schools on the back wall, and there was a little special spot, you climb up the fence, and there was a low spot, you climb up over that, and you get off the roof and stuff, that's all back down to everybody.
And every 4th of July, we have the fireworks right in the backyard of the school.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fire trucks were all the way back by the fence by the canal.
But now
They always went to catch fire, yeah, we always have.
Just a little one, you know. Wow.
I have a real old story.
Okay.
Story from when my father went.
Oh, wow.
Titusville School.
Yes, because it opened, you know.
The school building now. And we used
Yes.
to have a wood stove, and a student was in charge. I don't know whether they compensated or what, would come to school early and start the fire in the wood stove to warm the classroom up.
Yeah.
And this one boy who didn't like to go to school but had the job, he somehow got hold of a dead skunk. And he took the scent bag from the skunk.
Wow.
I didn't get the guy's name. Anyhow, he started the fire and then put all the liquid on the stove, and the school was closed for
Days, I'm sure.
Is it on the same location?
Yeah.
Oh.
And another, since we are modern times, my father, back in the early 20s, he didn't speak English because his grandfather was Swiss and spoke German, and the mother was born here, but also spoke German. So for the grandfather, it was easier to speak German. So he became 6 years old. There was no kindergarten.
Oh, boy.
And he was sent off to school. It was his first day of school. And an hour and a half later, he came walking home to the farmhouse and met by his parents naturally. And they asked him what he was doing there. And he didn't really know why, because he didn't speak English. But he had a note that was pinned to his shirt by the teacher, which said, "When Herbert can speak English, he can come back to school."
And the boys went in one side of the building, and the girls went in the other. When you got off the bus.
Was seating separate in the classrooms?
No.
Isn't that funny?
When you walked into the door, the girls' restroom was on that side and the boys' restroom was by the door on the other side.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I think they're going to close us up pretty soon, but thank you all so, so much for coming. This was really fun.
Can I just make a plug for all of history for some of these?
Yes, thank you so much, Sherry. I was thinking, you guys, you might think that these stories are, just fun, but they're important parts of history. And so,
Softball team from the early 50s.
oh, that's amazing.
For as playing softball.
Yes. So please leave your name with anybody. Yes. Yes.